quick. Let me bust this down. All right, y'all, let me tell y'all a story. This is a story about a group of people called Israelites. God made them the chosen people of all people that walked the land. He made them the chosen people. They spoke Hebrew in the Bible. Now, all people that walk the land in today's time come from the Bible. It started with Adam. He was the first man. And then everything went from that, right? So even though everybody came from Adam, out of those people, God had a chosen people. He had a chosen people, which were Israelite. Now, fast forward a little bit. Abraham had Isaac, but he also had Ishmael. He had a baby called Ishmael. He had that with an Ethiopian woman called Hagar. So when you read in the Bible about Hagarenes, them are Africans. Now, Abraham was a Jew, which means he was a black man, who had sex with an African woman. So that's a Jew who had sex with an African woman. This is how you get what they call Arabs in today's time. Those are Ishmaelites. So when you read in the Bible about Ishmaelites or Midianites, you're reading about Arabs. That's what you're reading about. But that's here nor there. So when you read the Bible and you read about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that's who the lineage of the bloodline of the promise was given to. That lineage. You have to come from that particular lineage to be a part of what God called his chosen people. If you're not a part of that lineage, you cannot be grafted in, bro. You cannot be grafted in from another bloodline. You have to be from that particular bloodline. This Bible is a story about that bloodline. If you're not from that bloodline, you are not the true children of God. And then Isaac had Jacob, right? And Jacob was given a promise. If you read Genesis 32 and 28, Jacob's name was changed to Israel. So when you say the 12 tribes of Israel, you're really saying Jacob 12 sons, because Jacob had 12 sons, remember? Joseph and Reuben, Judah, and all his brothers sold Joseph into Egypt. Or they sold him to the Arab man. He turned around and sold him to Egypt. That's how Joseph even got to Egypt. He was sold by his 11 brothers. So when you read about the 12 tribes of Israel, you see us post the 12 tribes of Israel. We're really saying Jacob 12 sons. The 12 tribes, you have to come from that bloodline. If you don't come from one of them 12 sons, if you don't come from the bloodline of one of those 12 sons, you are not the true children of God. The Bible's a story about those people. When you get to Christ and you read about Roman captivity, all you reading about is the descendants of the 12 tribes of Israel, Jacob 12 sons. That's why they say the 12 disciples. The 12 disciples is not their name. The disciple wasn't their name. You reading about the 12 disciples, but they had names. James, Peter, Matthew, them was them people named. And Paul was not a disciple. Let me put that out there, because y'all put Paul over Christ. Paul did not get on the cross and die for y'all, bro. When I show you John 4 and 22 and Christ say salvation is for the Jews, you want to take me somewhere Paul said, when Paul did not die for you, fam. When I show you in Matthew 15:24, Christ say he only came for the 12 tribes of Israel, you want to take me to Romans or somewhere, or Galatians. Some you really don't understand Corinthians. You don't understand none of the letters of Paul in Corinthians. You don't understand that, bro. You really don't understand Romans neither. Ephesians, Mark, you don't really understand them scriptures, bro. You really don't have the understanding of them. They are written twofold. If you don't know you the Israelite of the Bible, you don't know the Old Testament, there's no reason you should not be reading nothing Paul said, bro. You put Paul over Christ. You want to read me something Paul said? He was not a 12 disciple. Go Google that. Google that. Paul is not a 12 disciple. He's an apostle, but he's not one of the 12 disciples. When Christ was alive and walked the land, he wasn't a part of them people. He wasn't down with them people. He tried to kill Peter and them. Paul's name was Saul. He tried to kill Peter and Matthew. He didn't like them people. He didn't like none of the real 12 disciples who actually was there with Christ. Matthew had a chance to actually speak to Christ. They had conversations. Peter, he had conversations with Christ. Paul, when he was alive, Paul didn't have no conversation. He wasn't walking around with Christ and with all them people. He had Stephen killed. He was responsible for that. He didn't like them people. He sat in the highest seat of the Pharisees, bro. Now, he turned his life around after Christ smited him, but never put Paul over Christ. Never. He didn't even like them. He didn't believe in that. He did not believe in that. So this is a story about the 12 tribes of Israel, Jacob 12 sons, the whole Bible. They was in slavery in Egypt. They was in slavery in Assyria. They was in slavery in Persian Medes. They was in slavery to the Greeks. They was in slavery to the Romans. They was in slavery to the Babylonians. The whole Bible is a story about the 12 tribes of Israel, or Jacob 12 sons, being in slavery to other nations. And it transferred into today's time. You still in slavery to them same other nations, bro. To them same other nations. Them people done sat down in the UN. They say, you know what? We gonna unite. We don't like each other, But we gonna sit down and unite as a nation. United Nations. They done united and sat down against you. Black people, Hispanics, we cannot stick together, bro. We cannot stick together, and we don't want to know the story of our history, which is in the scripture. Shut up and dribble.